So today I will be analyzing the poem Follower by Seamus Heaney. And in this poem, Heaney uses imagery and juxtaposition to demonstrate his journey of discovery of passion and his discovery of himself. Throughout the poem, he juxtaposes himself against his father using descriptive words. He always uses very neat and precise words to describe his father. In line 5, he describes his father as an expert. And in line 11, he uses the word angled to describe his father's actions, and in line 12, exactly. And all of these words convey precision, the precision of his father's actions and his father's work, plowing and farming. In line 14, he uses the word polished, which has the same effect. So his father is conveyed to be, he's an expert at his craft, and Heaney uses the opposite words to describe himself. He uses very clumsy, negative words to describe himself and his actions. In line 13, he says that he stumbled, and in 14, he fell. And in the last stanza, in lines 21 to 22, he says he is a nuisance, tripping, falling, yapping, always. And this juxtaposition of himself against his father using this word choice demonstrates that he's not meant for farming, and it reveals how he views himself as inadequate. He sees himself as a person who's inferior to his father. He's not good enough in his eyes or in his father's eyes. Heaney also shows his father in a positive light using the behavior of the horses. In line 4, it says the horse strained at his clicking tongue. And this means that all his father had to do to get the horses to follow his instructions was click his tongue. It's as simple as that. And this shows the immense amount of control that he has over the horses. And in lines 8 and 9, it says, with a single pluck of reins, the sweating team turned around. This has the same effect. With a minimal action, with minimal prompting, the team follows his instructions to the letter. And this demonstrates how much control and how much expertise Heaney's father has compared to Heaney himself. And he's again portraying himself as inferior to his father. Heaney also uses very large words to describe his father's physical appearance. In line 2, it says his shoulders globed like a full sail strung. And the word globed and full both imply that his father has a very large, imposing figure, like a sail, something big, large, physically imposing. And in line 15, it says, he rode me on his back. And this demonstrates his father's physical strength. And in lines 19 and 20, it says, all I ever did was follow in his broad shadow round the farm. And broad shadow also implies that his father is physically large. And this large description of his father throughout the poem conveys his admiration for his father. He both literally and figuratively looks up to his father and worships him. So all of this portrays Heaney as an inferior human being. He's attempting to follow his father's footsteps, but he's failing. He's clumsy. He's less than his father. Now, up until line 22, this is how he sees his relationship with his father. His father is superior. He's bigger, stronger, and better than Heaney, and he's a leader. But Heaney is inferior. He's not good at farming and plowing, and though he tries his best to follow his father's lead, he's failing. He's not good as he wants to be. Then in line 22, there's a tone shift when he says, but today. And this is a Heaneyism. This is something that he uses a lot. And this represents a shift from past to present. So up until now, he's been describing himself as a child following his father. But today, he's different. This is a moment of self-discovery as Heaney becomes his own person, and he actually switches roles with his father. In line 23, he uses the word stumbling again, just as he used it in previously in the poem, but this time he's using it to describe his father. His father is the one who's stumbling. And in line 24, he says, "Behind me." And behind implies that Heaney is now leading his father instead of the other way around. And stumbling is a word that used to describe Heaney but now describes his father, as they have switched roles. This tone shift also changes the meaning of the title. The title, follower, provokes the question, who is the follower? And in the first 5.5 stanzas, the answer is Heaney, because he's attempting to follow in his father's footsteps. His desire is to mimic his father. But here he says, "I wanted to grow up and plow." Wanted is a past tense verb, implying that as a child he wanted to follow in his father's footsteps, but he no longer does. This is kind of foreshadowing the tone shift that happens at line 22. And after this tone shift, after "But Today," in the 6th stanza, Heaney's father becomes the follower. And so the answer to the question, who is the follower, the meaning of the title shifts. This tone shift is also the moment that Heaney discovers his passion for poetry. In this moment, he becomes his own person instead of his father's person, and he has his own passion rather than trying to adopt someone else's passion, his father's passion. And after this, he is no longer a follower, but instead a leader.